Right, welcome back everyone. So today we're actually going to get out on the Hunter 350. Now this video wasn't scheduled, wasn't planned, nothing like that. I literally saw the sun was out, came out on a ride, popped into Midwest Moto, and I saw a 23 plate Hunter sat outside. I very kindly asked if I could review it and ride it, which they very kindly obliged. And now I'm filling the spot, I'm filling the missing piece of my J series puzzle. You might remember the video we did where we had Meteor, Classic, Bullets all lined up. Loved the video, but people were writing, where's the Hunter? Well, at that time I didn't have a Hunter, but I also didn't think the Hunter should be included. I'll tell you why. It's quite a departure from the style and the riding experience of the other 350 bikes. Like, you can think of Bullet and Classic, very similar, almost a pairing. Meteor, a little bit different with the forward controls. And then Hunter, where you've got a shallower rake, you've got a 17-inch front wheel, you've got a bike that weighs 184 kilos, so it's about 20 kilos or 10% lighter than the other J series bikes. So it's kind of a radical departure. And I really just needed to ride it, and luckily I've got the opportunity. So what am I expecting out of this bike? Well, I expect it to feel zippier, lighter, kind of just more chuckable than the other bikes, and I expect the riding experience to be really different. If you look here, this foot peg hanger, whereas the other bikes it's directly under the Royal Enfield logo, it's actually way back. So literally your riding position, I haven't even sat on the bike yet, and the riding positions I know is going to be quite a departure from the other bikes. Now this bike is for sale. Now to those people who said bros, one guy wrote in the comments, bros selling hard. Just so you all know, I'm an ex-sales manager. I used to manage a sales team, so it's kind of like selling things, and that kind of value proposition, what's worth it and what isn't, that just kind of comes naturally to me. So if that offends you, just don't watch the video. But this bike is for sale. Just contact Midwest Moto, and if you like it, it is a clean one. It's got a little bit of aftermarket parts on there. Somebody do tell me if these tech items are the aftermarket or they're standard, because at the front of the bike there's a tech sticker. Now I don't know what tech parts are on here, but I know that people commonly put the shocks from tech on there. So somebody let me know if that's aftermarket or if it's that's the standard Hunter. Right, let's do the up close and personal section. So I'm sure many of you already know this, but this is a J series lump. It's a single cylinder engine, 349 cc's. It's got a long stroke compared to the diameter of the bore, so we kind of give it that designation as a thumper. It outputs about 20 point something horsepower, so it's not a quick bike. That's not really the MO of J series riding. Single cylinder exhaust here, a little bit of an upsweep to the exhaust, which differs from the other bikes in the range. Now the Hunter seems to have also the engine as a stressed member, so with the other bikes the down tubes come all the way and run underneath. Here they bolt to the engine here, and obviously the rest of the subframe and works connects to the engine here. So engine actually appears to me to be a stressed member in this configuration. You've got a nice colourful fuel tank here. Obviously it's kind of fresh, kind of vibrant, modern take on the colour scheme. You're not having the classic colours like the other bikes. You've got fork gaiters leading down to a 17-inch front wheel, Seat tyres with a kind of zoomy, it's called, off-road but street urban like pattern. Single disc up front by Brie. I think it's a 280mm disc, plenty of stopping power for a bike that outputs 20 horsepower and weighs 184 kilos. On the back here also a 17. You've got twin spring over shocks, and what else is there to say about it? Oh, it has some nice things. Oh, I almost fell over. Like a centre stand, which is almost standard fit one on all Royal Enfields, so that's a big help. Up front here you've got a single round headlight to turn the bike so you can see it. You've got non-adjustable levers, everything's quite basic. Indicators there, not LED, and a large headlight that again, just a single headlight, quite plain. Single comfortable seat, a little bit of a grab rail on the back there, and that's all she wrote really. There's not that much to describe on a Hunter 350. It's a back to basics kind of beginner friendly motorcycle that will get you from A to B, and you'll look quite cool doing it. Right, I'm not going to say anything to start the video, just going to let you hear the thump thump of a Royal Enfield J Series engine, which is probably something a lot of you love and cherish. Listen to that. Riding past the dog at Dunley on a Royal Enfield J Series. What a lovely experience. Now, let's just be careful not to exceed 30 miles an hour, and we'll do some epic bimbling. This is a video of bimbling. There's no herring about on these bikes, at least not yet anyway. Should we do something useful? Should we do like a kind of a review of sorts? Perhaps somebody who doesn't know what the Hunter is might be watching this video. So I'll just go through it. Obviously it's a light iteration of the J Series, a modern take on basically Royal Enfield's 350cc platform, but the bright colours, the single headlight, lack of chrome, blacked out. There you go. And you got that sort of J Series riding experience. And to be honest, I've seen a lot of Hunters in the wild. I know at one stage they were very well selling bikes for Royal Enfield. They might still be. I know they're also the cheaper version compared to the classic. I think the order would probably go classic, and then classic Signals is the highest, and then Bullet. Well, you got probably then Meteor, but Meteor Aurora is priced higher, and then you've got Hunter, which is almost like the most easy access affordable J Series. If you want a classic looking bike, then obviously the Hunter isn't for you, but if you want a city bike or a commuter or whatever, then you could do a lot worse than the Royal Enfield Hunter 350. Now, you're going to be paying, I think this bike's up for £3,000, so £3,000 for a run-in Royal Enfield Hunter with aftermarket upgrades on it. It's tempting, I'll tell you that for nothing. It's a bike that definitely differentiates itself a little bit. Differentiates itself a little bit from the other J Series bikes by the handling and the feeling of lightness. Still got the thump. The engine sounds a little bit more raucous because there's a smaller silencer, but obviously it's not loud. That's relative to other J Series bikes. So remember, you got 5 gears, so your maximum speed is achieved in fourth. 5 is more of an overdrive. That rhymed, didn't it? Not intentionally, but that did rhyme. And then you've got an upgraded throttle body on the Hunter and an ECU, which allows this bike, I'm told, to get up to there 80 on the clock. Now the other J Series bikes can only achieve 70 or 72 if they're limited. This one apparently is good for 80 miles an hour. So a little bit of a lean, bit of fun, using the fourth. You see I'm building speed slowly, but that's fine. It's a 60 mile an hour road, so it's often more fun to ride a slow bike fast than it is to ride a fast bike slow. And that's definitely true of the Hunter 350. Let's talk about vibrations. People always worry about vibrations. Obviously you've got a single cylinder, so you've got a kind of a characterful thump coming through, and it will have resonance frequencies where you get a little bit more vibration, but they've incorporated balancer shafts into this new J Series engine, the 350, and that's smoothed it out. It's made it feel a lot more modern than perhaps the old 500 Royal Enfield. Let's just slow down to 30 here. We'll do an on-off the throttle. I don't expect it to be particularly bad. I'll just indicate to come over here. I've done other J Series bikes. It's an under-stressed engine, so that's really good, to be honest. Look at that. You see? Moderate the throttle and then just pull away, indicate. So on off the throttle, that jerkiness that people really kind of anti, doesn't really seem apparent here. I didn't expect it to be honest, because I know that the other J Series bikes are fine, and even though they've probably mapped the Hunter a little bit differently, it's not going to be, they're not going to have made it into a bike that has that awkward jerk.
just check the suspension. I do love non-adjustable suspension. Weird, but you just kind of like, you get what you're given, if you know what I mean. You trust the factory engineer. It's like, right, you're non-adjustable, it is how it is. Sometimes it'll soften up with time as you ride the bike and the miles build up. Over 1,000 miles, suspension is said to bed in, but you don't have to worry about adjusting it, or is it set up correctly, or paying someone to set it up for you. You just take it that you're kind of in line with the average rider. So yeah, everything feels right so far. Now this person's going really slowly, but fair play to it. I was thinking I don't want somebody riding behind me, but I might be riding behind her at the rate she's going. But yeah, at that junction, feet down, no problem at all. I think it's a 780mm seat height, but I will check. So for me, with a 5'11" height and a 30-inch inside leg, I'm finding the floor really easily on the bike, very accessible. It does have the feeling of a small proportioned bike, which is a little bit different from the other J series. It feels more like a city bike or a commuter than perhaps the other bikes feel like more big bikes. Although they've still got the same engine, it just seems like the overall wheelbase, I think, is probably shorter on the Hunter. Any vibrations in the mirrors? We'll rev this bike out in third. It is running, so not really. You still see out of them. Doesn't seem too bad. Gearbox is kind of notchy, which I like. It finds the gear very easily. It's not that kind of is it in, isn't it in kind of feeling. You know, they used to say it's like stirring porridge. Obviously with a car transmission, if you can't find the gears or the gearbox is worn out, you used to say it's like stirring porridge trying to find gear. Now I don't think this box is a bad box at all from Royal Enfield. It just seems to slot into gear nicely. Now I've got a little bit more bumps in the road here. I was saying that, I come onto new tarmac. Ian Halliwell, he mentioned that in Lancashire they've never seen a new freshly tarmac road. The council hasn't done it. Here we are lucky that we see every now and then you come across a section of road they've left it so long it's had to be redone, and that's the case here. So this smooth section, just pop around this bend, and I'll come in with a little bit of corner speed just to test the Hunter out. Rear brake here, dabbed. Right, there you go. Yeah, it acquits itself well in the corners. Back on the old tarmac now, Ian, don't be too jealous. Oh, here you go, look at this little bend here. This will be a little test of the Hunter. Rear brake, just lengthen out the bike a little bit. Okay. Fourth is really your friend. Got a lorry approaching. Now I'll do a little bit of a speed around this bend. Watch the van, don't put my head into his wing mirror. You know what, it does feel a little bit fresher and livelier than the Bullet I took along this exact same road. I think you notice that weight saving a little bit. Okay. Have they done the gearbox ratios? I know they've done a different ECU and a throttle body, so it's actually quite a different bike. Lovely exhaust notes to pull out the bend. Slick up change into fourth. Dab of the rear as we approach. Oh, there you go. That was intuition, wasn't it? I felt like I was coming in there a little bit hot. Right guys, just for a little treat, I'm going to take you to Shelsley Walsh, which is the famous hill climb track. I think it's 300 and something odd meters, but steep elevation, and they race everything up there, cars, bikes. and the idea is to get from the bottom to the top as quickly as possible. Now I don't think the Hunter would win the bike category, funnily enough, but this road is also quite pleasant riding over there, so we'll just pop over there today. The front brake is pretty strong. Let's do an emergency stop. It's very quiet, this road, so I'll do 45 now. Stop. Oh wow. Yeah. You've got no worries about the brakes on this bike. Ahead of me you can see the hills, and the racetrack sort of sweeps up and through those hills. I did actually once ask if I could film in there with the historic stuff. You know, it might be a nice backdrop or whatever, and they said yes, for a 15-minute video it's £2,000 to have an agreement to film in the paddock. So I thought, that's probably more than I've ever made on YouTube in the whole history I've been doing it. So I'm not about to hand over £2,000 for them just to film in essentially a car park, even though the history of the heritage would have been nice. We better talk about some other important bits and bobs when we're servicing. So J Series, you have a 350 mile service and then you come back every 3,500 miles, and that's kind of typical of a lot of the entry level accessible bikes. They do have shorter intervals on the servicing than the likes of Honda or whatever, but that said, you can service it yourself. Royal Enfield will honour the warranty as long as genuine parts are used and you've kept a record of the servicing, or you can get it done in the dealer, and dealer servicing varies. So go online, the Facebook group, and someone will have said how much they paid and where, and you'll be able to decide which dealer to go to. And you get a 3-year warranty on Royal Enfields, which is great. I mean, you're going to have on this bike leftover warranty because of course it is transferable. Let's just nip down this lovely little piece of road, just open the throttle a little bit. And here is the start of Shelsley Walsh, and typical for me, I can't say it properly. Shelsley, it's like a word tongue twister, isn't it? Shelsley Walsh hill climb. Let's indicate. What we'll do, just ride down here. I'll just show you the paddock. So yeah, that's basically where it all starts. Oh well, that's where you spin your rear tyre, and then you've got the start line up there, and then you fly up the hill as fast as you can, and yeah, you try and yeah, beat your best time or beat someone else's best time. They've also got a little spa thing and everything, you know, there's a little cafe and everything up here as well. It's all quite nice, really. Yeah, so if you didn't know, that's the famous hill climb based here in Worcestershire, and there's a lovely church next to it as well. Right, I'm going to head back. At slower speeds, that exhaust note really becomes pleasing. You hear that? Lower revs. It's just lovely, isn't it? Don't know what it is, but I'm noticing it more on the Hunter than the other J Series bikes. It might have something to do with the shorter silencer. Oh, I've forgotten to do the rider's view. I mean, you guys probably know most of this by now. Toggle switches side to side, kind of cool. Everything finds its place really easily. Non-adjustable levers. standard Royal Enfield grips, and to quote the all-year motorcyclist, Mickey Mouse mirrors. You have got, oh, let me just avoid this van. You have got a little splash of carbon fibre there. I don't know whether that's Hunter specific or this is an aftermarket modification, but that's kind of cool. And then you got this instrument cluster, which being on the Hunter is blacked out, also blacked out on the Super Meteor as well, I think. Nice big analog speedo, but then you've got a little insert there, which is LCD for the fuel, the time, mileage, and you've got 2 trips, trip A and trip B. Oh, you also, when you run out of fuel, you have a little thing called trip F come up, and then that then counts the miles you've got before your tank goes empty. So I should explain that better. When you get your warning light up, it then automatically goes to trip F, and then that will count down the miles you've got until your bike actually runs out of fuel. Now I don't know exactly how many miles it is on this bike, but that'll explain it if you see F. Suspension is acquitting itself very well on these bumps. Now, is that aftermarket tech shocks? I don't know. They feel great, whatever they are, if they're standard Hunter or if they're aftermarket. I do love these single cylinders, man, they're so nice to ride. And I have to say, sorry to anyone who owns the other J series, but this one does feel a little bit fresher and faster. Ooh, here's a question and a half. Would you buy a Hunter now that the Gorilla 450 is imminently coming out? Big question, isn't it? I mean, you're going to save an absolute packet on a Hunter. I mean, this one's 3,000 and it's basically run in and had its post run-in service, which is really good. But if you were to get a new Hunter, a new Gorilla, you'd have more power obviously, but you're at that new bike disadvantage, aren't you, where you pay a little bit more, you've got the first service, any accessories you've got to purchase, on the road charges, delivery, yeah, everything, isn't it? You've got to change your insurance. Oh, that's true, I suppose, if you were to buy a second-hand bike. But all that thing that comes with owning a new motorcycle obviously isn't quite there when you buy nearly new, like this little guy. Alright guys, well, I hope you enjoyed that little on-the-road section. I've had a lovely time, so I hope you have too. And I'm going to head back to the dealership and we'll do a little bit of a wrap-up video. So I'll see you in about 15 minutes, or for you, in about 2 seconds.
Right, we're back from the test ride. I focused on part of the bike here, so as long as I stand perfectly in line, don't move, hopefully we should be in focus. Now, just to preempt any questions, I'm wearing a BSA/Merlin kind of riding jacket. You buy it from BSA, you can get it in green, red or grey. I think I went for the green one. It's got nice touches, little BSA there. It's quite lightweight, so for the summer it's kind of perfect. You're almost down dressed, you know. This is sort of like the lightest jacket you could get away with and still be safe on a motorcycle. So I like it. Just thought I'd mention to preempt any questions. Talking about the Hunter 350, main takeaway is it's the liveliest of the J series. It's nimble, got the rake on the front has been reduced, the overall weight of the bike's reduced, the wheelbase is reduced. It's nimble, it's kind of flickable. It just seems to have more pep. Obviously at the back there I suspect we've got the Hagon Tech shocks, so it feels like it handles great. The seat's nice and comfortable, riding position is kind of all day comfy. It is what it is really. It's a Hunter 350. If you do want to come and look at this bike, pop over to Midwest Moto in the West Midlands or give them a call. It's just a nice example, freshly run in, looks very clean to my eyes. I don't see that many accessories, but I am suspicious about the rear shocks. Somebody can tell me in the comments. People have mentioned the offset cluster. That doesn't really bother me that much, but if it draws your eye, then yeah, symmetrical cluster might be a little bit nicer. But I think even the Gorilla has an offset cluster, so it's obviously a thing with Royal Enfield positioning the Speedo and the Tripper side by side. But we've had a nice time. We've been out in the countryside. I've had a good time. You've hopefully had a good time. So let's just end the video there. Pop any questions down in the comment section. And if you like the video, drop me a like, thumbs up, whatever it's called. Don't normally do that kind of pitch, but please do. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.